when we look at the election results that have taken place in May for the local elections, and the amount of candidates that stood, the amount of members that we have, where does our growth come from? It grows from reaching out to the public. It comes from making contact with the public. It comes from being able to interact and engage with the public so that they see us, so that when it comes to an election, we're not an unknown quantity. We don't have, and we're not given the time of day by the likes of GB News. That's basically given over to Reform. And Reform, as Mike said, have got the cheek to say that we don't get enough airtime. Can you just think, for one day of the amount of publicity that they get that we were given, just think how many people, millions of people, that would see that and think, do you know what, British Democrats, ooh, I like that idea, I like that idea, and I like that idea. But they don't dare do that because they want to make sure that their false flag safety valve gets all the airtime that it needs so that it can hoodwink and lie to the British people about what's needed. Right? So, as far as ourselves are concerned, we're only going to be able to grow and get to where we want to get if people come forward and stand and offer themselves as candidates. Not a general election. The general election was basically just an exercise in farming out our message so that people can see us for the very first time. The best part of 250,000 leaflets went out at the general election. So across the constituencies that received our message, that's 250,000 people that would never have heard of us before. But they have now. So if a by-election comes up, there's no local elections until, 2026? I think there's a round of local elections next year. I mean borough, at borough level, not county. So if a by-election were to come up and you're in the position and you know of it, come forward, because growth isn't going to happen on its own. So we've had Chris standing as candidates, you've had people as a candidate, you had people up in Yorkshire standing as candidates. I'm not going to blow my own trumpet down in Maidstone, right? Because it's all part of the process, it's all part of the end result of where we need to be. We can't do this on our own. With the people that we have, we are needing to grow, and that growth has to come from the people that are here today. When I look at the likes of other parties that are in the same sort of spectrum as where we are, calling themselves nationalists, but they do nothing. But we're in the position to actually do something because we actively participate in the electoral process. So if there's an election that comes along and you know of it, come forward and stand as a candidate. It doesn't matter if you can't get out on the doors, knocking on the doors. Do you know what? I will happily come and knock on the doors for you. All right? Mike will happily come along and knock on the doors for you. Matt will happily do so as well, as he did for me. And I'm so indebted to those that came down. If you're able to come and stand as a candidate, make yourself known. We're not going to grow otherwise. When I look at the Labour Party, and they've been in power, just over 2 months? What an absolute disaster. We thought the Tories were bad. The amount of people that they're letting in by the boatload, this is going to make the Tories look like small beer. And as Jim has quite rightly said historically, that it's all very well looking at the illegals that are coming in and pointing and look at how many of them come. What about the legals?
Illegal, 500,000.
What about the legals? And by the time of the end of this year, God knows what the figures are going to be like. So we will be able to make absolutely hay, because I know historically, and those of you that have been around the nationalist scene long enough will know that nationalism always, and I'm pretty sure it will do so again, always grows under Labour. So, you know, we can attack the Tories for what they've done, but there will be golden opportunities for us to attack Labour, and also to stick the boot into reform, because they talk about their anti-immigration stance. No, they're not. They talk about freezing non-essential immigration. So basically, they are, as I've said before, they're cut from the same cloth. 600,000 Farage will happily let in. If you don't believe it, if anybody viewing this online that's not a member of the British Democrats, all right, if you see it for the very first time, what's being said now, go onto our Telegram page. The 11th of August, Nigel Farage and Richard Tice are both on our Telegram page. 600,000 Farages happy to let in. 450,000 Tices happy to let in. Go onto our Telegram page. Anybody listening, anybody watching this that's not a member, have a look at our Telegram page. You'll see the truth. They're cut from the very same cloth as the Tory party. They are a pro-mass immigration party. We, on the other hand, tell the truth. We're not afraid to tell the truth. We don't hide behind donors, and we don't push them to the front of our party, unlike Reform, just because they've shilled out a few quid. Yeah. Unlike Reform and Farage. So their new chairman, he's basically bought and paid for his position. As much as, you know, I've got no time for the likes of Ben Habib in Reform, I feel sorry for the poor guy. Whatever he's done to push that party forward, he's basically been given the boot because somebody's coughed up. Yeah. So that's your Nigel Farage for you. He puts the pound before somebody's efforts that they've made before. That tells you all you need to know about him. So, again, going back to the very point of this, if there's a by-election that comes up locally, come forward, because that's where we can basically take on Reform on our ground. We're not going to get the airtime, but we will get coverage if we're able to take on these people at local level, achieve good results, but it can't be done on its own. Come forward.